Kyle van der Schyff, Kyle from the Smoke. Thank you
From the
so much for
smoke.
joining me. You are a photographer. That's how I know you. You do video as well. We've worked on a couple of Cooler Master projects together. And you're very talented. I really enjoy seeing your content. Yeah, so thank you for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me. I've been watching a couple of your videos that you've been posting recently, and it was quite a surprise to get the DM, would I like to be on? So it's a privilege. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting, especially with people that have like hands-on kind of jobs. You don't hear a lot about as much as the people that are like in front of the camera kind of thing. But you are like quite forward. I want to say like public facing, but like forward facing. You do show yourself, which I think is a really good thing for your followers and stuff.
Yeah, it's something that I actually started doing a couple of years ago when I started doing a lot more self-development, business development, and so on. And Steve Jobs was all about create a brand, and I didn't have a
Mm-hmm.
brand because the work I was publishing the entire time, it was just a random person, a random product every time. So I ended up just putting myself out there, getting uncomfortable, and just learning to enjoy the camera, and eventually built somewhat of a brand where people understand who I am, my personality, and so on, and just built it from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it is. It is brave in the sense that you're so used to sharing of like other people, right? Do you think it is a challenge to sort of gain a following if you don't share of yourself? Like, do you think there's a way that people can do that without personalizing their brand?
Absolutely, especially in today's day and age. I literally, funny enough, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago that I stumbled across a page which they call it no face branding. And it's all about these women who are literally building their entire Instagram page through reels where they don't show their face. They don't have to talk to the camera and create this personality, for example. So a lot of the times they're silhouetted, their face is just cropped out of it. And for example, they're wearing high heels or boots, or they're modeling a skirt of somewhat. And yeah, it's incredible the way things have changed. Had you asked me this 5 years ago, I would have said, no ways. You have to create a brand so that people understand who they're buying from or who they're using for their service.
Mm-hmm.
But it's changed drastically over the last couple months, even.
Yeah, like you kind of have to build trust with people though, right?
Yes.
And it's a bit more challenging to do that if you aren't accountable. Like if you aren't like, hey, this is my face, this is what I'm selling. I back it.
Absolutely. And I mean, once again, these women that I'm talking about who are literally creating these pages where they don't show their face, they're still advertising and marketing credible products. So, for example, if Zara is contacting them because they have 1.2 million followers, they don't need to build their trust like you've mentioned in terms of building a credibility through showing your face because they trust the brand that they're endorsing. So, yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's super interesting where we're leading towards marketing.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting. It's so dynamic. I feel like it changes so much all the time, and it's so like psychological, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the diversity within TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. There are three different platforms and three different methods in terms of how you're growing, how you're marketing, how you're trying to have people perceive you as an identity of someone.
Mm-hmm. What? So when you started like sharing more of yourself, you mentioned that. I think you mentioned. I don't know if I just put this in my brain that it was like a bit uncomfortable. Like, did I imagine that you said that?
No, I did. I did. As the introduction, I did mention I got uncomfortable because it was so uncomfortable being in front of the camera as a male who photographs women, has created a brand through videography and so on. It was super uncomfortable. Um, the first
Um.
couple times, my method though was to go live. There was nothing
Mm-hmm.
worse than going live and having to talk to people because there's no takebacks. I think we can all agree,
Yeah.
whoever's watching this, when you create an Instagram story, sometimes you've done it 20 times because like, why'd I say that word?
Yeah.
Why'd I do that? Why am I blinking 300 times while I'm talking? So when you
Yeah.
go live, that's a testament in terms of getting used to your followers. And It
Yeah.
taught me how to engage with people as well. It was super important.
Yeah, I think going live is probably like, as someone who puts content out, is probably one of the most uncomfortable things you can do. Like
It's so
you
unpredictable.
Exactly. It's so unpredictable. You don't know what the reception is going to be. You don't know what you're going to do or how you're just kind of like on the fly all the time. But I think if people can kind of do that, it's a really good exercise because I think you learn to like trust yourself, like you're fine, mostly.
Mostly, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the entire platform's not going to burn down if one person has a negative comment. So, yeah, you kind
Exactly.
of just you get used to it. And funny enough, more than most times, I'd say people are kind. Especially on
Yeah.
lives, anyways. Like compared to somebody commenting or sharing something or responding to your story, a lot of the times, every time almost that I went live, it was only positive feedback.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that was something I got asked a lot by, people I would tell that I stream. They would be like, how do you deal with like trolls or like negative comments or whatever? But it's like, you will generally have like one negative comment in like, I don't know what the sort of numbers are, but like one in
Yeah.
50 is not going to, you know, you've got like 10 people to one backing you at any given moment. So it's really not as big a challenge as I even initially thought it would be. And generally, those people like just want your attention, right? Generally,
Yeah,
I
of
mean,
course.
sometimes
Yes,
it's valid criticism or whatever, but
yeah, most people I think somewhat of a insecurity or something that they're obviously attacking someone else. But I mean, yeah, you stream often, and I mean, how many times can you remember someone being really nasty to you?
yeah, exactly. It's not as like prevalent as I initially thought it would be, and as many people think it is. I think, yeah. So obviously I follow you on Instagram. Your photos are beautiful. You do photograph a lot of models, and you're based in Cape Town now, which is obviously like the best place in South Africa to be for photos. What is your favorite subject to photograph?
I always make a joke about this when people ask me this because I get asked it quite often because I have such a diverse portfolio in terms of catering to B2B, especially. That's my main source of income. From mining companies to kitchen companies who do specialized kitchenware and so on. And I always like to say there's no specific favorite. It's the client that pays. And
Mm.
as blunt as that seems, it's the most realistic approach in terms of a business owner. Um, there's all the fluff and the gimmicky things. Photographing models it's fun. It allows you to push your boundaries, uh, utilize certain products and somehow market them, within your images and so on. But at the end of the day, um, I never have a straightforward answer to that question. I really don't. Corporate is my favorite. No fuss. They'll always tell you they've got X amount of budget. They're looking for Y type of product and deliverables. Can you do it? There's no
Hmm.
back and forth. There's no negotiating a lot of the times. And yeah, it's something that creating a business within the space, that has just been the most important thing for me, to have as little headaches and drama as possible. So
Hmm.
long story short, or a really short answer would be corporate. I honestly love the boring stuff, as they call it. Talking heads on camera, interviews, creating a story from nothing. That to me is the epitome of being creative. You can easily take an
Hmm.
FPV drone, take a Porsche GT3 RS and put it on a track, and you're creating content. But what's the story? For me, I don't want to
Hmm.
film the car racing. I want to sit down and talk to the engineer, talking to a camera like a Netflix documentary, telling me about how 467 bolts were used because 468 would be too heavy for the car, something like that. So it's always about the storytelling for me, and kind of dissecting the company as a brand and finding out how can we send this message, whether it's to a business, another business, or the consumer, to let them understand what exactly they're purchasing. Because everybody can make a
Hmm.
fancy fluffy video, right? Like there are so many creatives out there who are 17 years old who would kill it and make a way better marketing video than me. I'm not interested in that. I want to tell stories.
It's so interesting that you say this, because you, along with other creatives that I've spoken to, that seems to be a common thread, telling stories. Um, and that's like humans love stories, right? We love a
Yeah.
story. We love the good visuals and stuff. If something's just visually pleasing, that's great.
Mm.
But the story is really what like captures people.
Absolutely, especially for
Um,
a brand.
yeah, exactly. It's more personable. It's more relatable when there's a story. So I think that's really interesting that you say that, because you're like the third person who is really good at what they do to say, I love telling stories.
So hopefully that means I'm on the right track.
I think you are. I think you're on the right track.
Okay, good.
I was wondering how you prepare someone for a shoot, especially if they're not a professional model. How do you prepare them before the shoot to be sort of confident on the day, to be ready to give you the kind of shots that you want?
Sure. Look, I think uh, it's so crazy because so many of my models, and I did this for a very long time for a specific reason. If you go to my page and you see the kind of models that I shoot or the kind of images that I have there, I'm not quite sure now what the ratio would be, but about a year to 2 years ago, it was almost like 60 to 70% of the people who were on my page weren't professionally signed models. I would go out and I would quite purposefully go and contact somebody who has never modeled before. I'll go through their feed and say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
this person doesn't have a single professional image on their feed. And I'd literally choose them because, once again, just like the Porsche and everything else, it's so easy to get a great shot when you're putting somebody in front of the camera who does this for a living. It's almost impossible to
Mm-hmm.
get a bad shot. But when you get great images from a person who has never modeled before, the feedback that you get from that is crazy. Like the self confidence, the boost of like just how they feel about themselves is, it's something that it's so difficult. Like I can't even name how many things I can actually get that feeling from that. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I do it quite often with people who are actually first timers who have never shot before, and most of the time we'll chat a little bit leading up to the shoot. So breaking the ice, finding out what exactly they want to shoot. We start sending over mood boards and ideas in terms of what we're looking for achieving, and yeah, we'll just continuously share. For example, if it's a 1 to 2 week time difference in terms of when we're about to shoot and the planning, we'll kind of, by the time that we shoot, you should in some way or another kind of feel like I'm not a stranger. To me, that's important. um
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, don't be a creep. Like, there are so many guys within the industry that I hear so many bad stories about, so don't be that person. And that's something I try and avoid. I never give a person a doubt in the mind that there's a hidden agenda when it comes to our shoot. And then, of course, the planning. I try and make them feel as comfortable as possible. I explain to them that the best way to get the best images is just be yourself. As cliche as it sounds,
Mm-hmm.
just move, just pose. I try and help them with posing. I'll tell them what doesn't look good, what does look good, and we just go from there. And 9 out of 10 times, like, I could probably count on my one hand how many shoots I haven't been happy with or have not been a success from a person who has never shot before.
Mm-hmm. Posing people is really difficult. I think some photographers, can be really good at photographing, even people, but posing and sort of directing people, you're like doing a lot at once. You're not like on a film set where you have a whole bunch of people helping you with everything. I'm sure you have assistants and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but posing people is really difficult. So do you have like a poses in mind, or do you shoot and then you sort of see as you go what looks good? What's the sort of process behind that?
I think throughout shooting just for so many years, and also I used to always follow the professionals, who are obviously in Milan and New York Fashion Week, all these women who are continuously posting their images. And I basically would study what works and what doesn't. You always analyze an image and you look at it and you think, this captivates me in some way or another. Why? and I'd look at how they're
Mhm.
posing there, because it's so weird when you look at it. The most uncomfortable poses are normally the ones that work. It's weird. Like if you go to Instagram and you look at like professional models, they're always doing the most weird things. I think there's even a
Yeah.
real trend at the moment with the whole Zara thing.
Yes.
And it's hilarious. Like they're tripping on something and it's the pose. And yeah, I think it's just throughout many years of posing women, especially because I photographed newbies, as you'd call it, like an amateur. I just learned that you have to help and assist. So
Mhm.
almost instantaneously, when a lady stands in front of me, if she's standing or sitting, I've got like 25 different poses in terms of her body size, her shape. What are we doing? What are we showing? Are we showing the garment? Are we showing her body in terms of, is she in a bikini or is she wearing a jersey? Because that obviously always matters in terms of sitting, posing, laying, and so on. So yeah, I think it's just a lot of knowledge throughout the years of shooting. You just learn what works and what doesn't.
Mhm. Mhm. And what do you think? I'm gonna like pull out of this just now, but what do you think is the biggest insecurity you notice in people that you shoot? What is something really common in terms of insecurities?
Um, Definitely feeling fat, not being fat, but feeling fat. And for
Mhm.
many women, like I shoot incredible people who are in incredible shape. And the common denominator is always flab or skin. It's not even fat or anything, it's skin. And I have to remind the person, I'm like, you do understand you have skin. It has to be flexible in order for you to bend. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think definitely that is one of them. Whether it's skin folds, especially with sitting poses and so on. But yeah, I think the biggest insecurity is somebody feeling or looking bigger than they are. Number one, and then
Mhm.
also just the insecurity because we compare so much to people online that have been photoshopped and have been posed correctly. And yeah, it's definitely, I think, the roles more than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, you shared a video to your story. I think it was yesterday or
Mm,
recently.
yeah.
I think that video is doing really well because it's this girl in her gym outfit, and she's edited the photo so that her waist is like unnaturally
Tiny.
small.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then she shows what the video actually looked like if she hadn't edited the video. And it looks so real. It looks so real when it's edited.
Yeah.
And you shared something about it in terms of like comparing yourself to people online and stuff. What are your thoughts around that?
Such a toxic situation that we're living in, because as much as there's the real movement in terms of loving yourself and body positivity and everything, as much as we are all for that, I think psychologically we still hold ourselves prisoner to so many people online that we compare ourselves to. That's why, like, I did post that purely because I get so many DMs where women will literally word for word say, I'd love to shoot with you, but I don't look like the women that are on your page. And then I always
Mm-hmm.
respond to them and I say, what's so funny? The last three women sent me that exact same message and they're on the page that you're looking at. And it's a crazy thing. We need to understand and be aware of filters these days. I mean, these applications that we're doing live streams with can change the background live, instantaneously, and we can manipulate that. What makes you think that a person isn't manipulating their body? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the idea that so many people are comparing themselves to others, and exactly like that video that you saw, that's a video, that's not an image. So she's literally talking to us and her waist goes whoop, and it's like to a normal looking person, which
Yeah.
she still looks really good and she's in good condition, and uh,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, it's like people would have been like, oh my goodness, I want this person's waist. So I think it's super
Yeah.
important to just be aware. Like every little thing that you see, I don't care if it's BMW, Zara, it doesn't matter what brand or company is posting it. Always be aware that in some way or another, this might be altered and it might not be the truth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's also like even if it's not altered, it's a chosen pose, it's a chosen day, it's a you know, there's so many elements that make it like really a highlight. Yeah,
Lighting,
it's nice to see. Yeah, lighting,
like
like lighting changes
woman would know.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's quite interesting. There was something I wanted to say on this. I thought it was quite good, but now I forgot. I think you know, people are really hard on themselves. Like sometimes I see someone without makeup and they'll be like, "Oh, I look so terrible without makeup," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you look stunning!" Like it's crazy, and I think it's a good lesson to us all. You know, if I can think like that, then surely I'm okay. You
Yeah.
know, as well. Yeah.
Are you wearing
Sorry, you were
makeup
gonna
now?
say something. I am,
Okay. But I
of course.
I have seen you without makeup on. And like there is such a little
Yeah.
difference. And I think people always
Thank you.
assume, or they've like created this thing where it's like if you're not wearing makeup, you're not attractive. Makeup's not like
Yeah.
that. It's the same as a beard for a guy. It's just it enhances the features, or it might do something for a person, but
Yeah.
the level comes though when you can't recognize a person if you've met them with makeup and when they don't have makeup. Then I'm not saying
Yeah.
that's a bad thing. I'm just saying there's a difference in terms of understanding your own beauty and wanting to alter it for yourself. But yeah, I mean, like for
Yeah.
most people, I appreciate people who don't wear makeup or can go out of the house a day without wearing makeup. It's great.
Mhm. Yeah. Do you think confidence, for example, is more important than like actual appearance? Because I've definitely over the years felt like that is something that makes someone appear very attractive is if they're
Yes,
confident, regardless of sort of the little flaws and stuff.
absolutely. Absolutely. I have photographed tens who are kind of insecure about themselves, and I've photographed sevens who thought they're everything. And you can see the
Yeah.
difference in the images. Like through and
Yeah.
through, you're like, that girl would get my attention in a restaurant or a coffee shop or whatever. The confidence oozes from a person. And I think we see it all the time. Like you'll see a less attractive guy with a 10 or vice versa. And you see how they walk or how they act, and it's like, hey, that's a very confident person. Chances are the people who are also tens in the restaurant, club, bar, wherever, were too intimidated to go and approach this person, whereas this person did.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
no, I absolutely agree. Confidence is so sexy. It's way better than the actual appearance. Appearance plays a part, but confidence is it's a big thing.
Yeah, for sure. Um so in terms of your tech, you've done work with so many different types of brands and people, and you don't just photograph, you video as well, you do drone stuff. What is your favorite piece of tech?
Sure.
Didn't send you this question, surprise.
No, you did not. You did not. Um, I think the drone it has to be up there because the first time I got a drone, it was mind blowing because
Hmm.
we are not used to that perspective of that height or a different view of a specific area. And it never gets old, honestly. Like when you put up a drone and you're going to take, whether it's a scenic video or whatever it is, you never actually, you don't know what you're going to get until you're up there.
Mm.
So for me, that's one of my favorite things. I could fly a drone for hours if the battery could, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just so beautiful. Like the perspective that you get from different views, whether it's 3 meters up, 20 meters up. So that's definitely probably up there. Also because it just brings so much value to a video. You look at any video, like if you're creating a little montage of this skateboarder on the promenade in Cape Town, and then all of a sudden you throw in some drone shots of waves or dolphins or something. Boom! It's like amazingly different compared to you just following the guy with the GoPro or something. So yeah, I think
Hmm.
I would definitely say a drone. Even though I don't use it that often, it's definitely one of my favorite tools.
Yeah, and it gives you kind of like a very, very different perspective. We very rarely get to see things from a drone's perspective, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially like when you're over the ocean or something, because there are obviously, there's no buildings there. So it's one thing to look at a Pretoria monument or something and you're on like the fourth floor. It's cool. Like you've seen that.
Hmm.
But as soon as you you do something different, like over a volcano or around a mountain. Yeah, it's a major shift in what you're viewing.
Yeah. What drone do you have?
I have the DJI Mavic 2 Pro, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm looking at wasting money and getting the new Mavic 3 Pro. Um, that's the story of our lives as content creators. We're constantly upgrading, um, even though sometimes you
Yeah.
don't need to. But yeah, the new ones are insane. The minis, even, like, you're able to shoot in portrait mode.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild. It just flips the camera around.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And then in terms of your portrait camera, I know I'm focusing a lot on portraiture with you, like chatting to you a lot about your portrait work. But there's a lot of it on your Instagram, and obviously it's interesting to me. What camera and what lens do you use for portrait work?
I used the Sony A7 IV for my portraits and all my stills. And I used to actually use the 50mm quite often. I think most portrait photographers do. The Nifty 50, it's just such a beautiful
Mm,
lens. I started shifting over though to the Tamron 28 to 75mm. So it's quite diverse. It's not as wide. It's 28mm to 75. Yeah. It's not quite as wide as like the 24 mils or anything like that, but it gives you such a diverse range in terms of like wanting to capture the entire model's outfit, possibly the location of where you're posing the model, and then be able to punch into like 75 mils. It's incredible. So, and they're super sharp these days. The technology and the way they've upgraded everything, and how far we've come from back in the day when
mm-hmm,
a lens like that, the versatility, you had to lose something, which was most of the time quality. It is so pin
mm-hmm.
sharp that 90% of my work is done with that lens. I barely ever take it off my lens, actually, off my camera.
Okay. And in terms of like, I know this isn't like brand new technology, but in terms of mirrorless versus DSLR, I've got a friend who shoots still on DSLR. What would, and weddings, like beautiful photos, amazing work. What are your thoughts on moving to mirrorless?
Do you think your friend is still on mirrorless because it's cooler now to be against the grain, or do you think it's like a
On
choice?
DSLR.
Yeah,
What did she say about it? Because I think I asked her and she said she just doesn't want to like get used to a new camera again, kind of thing. So I think that's the vibe.
creature of
I'm not
habit.
sure. Yeah, yeah. I don't think it was
Interesting.
like an intentional thing. She just hasn't gotten around to it. You know?
Okay. I mean, for starters, the DSLR versus mirrorless, the weight is incredibly different. They're super
Yeah.
light, very compact, and you're like literally able to throw it into a little backpack and run around and shoot. So for me, that was incredible. But I mean, like you've mentioned, I shoot a lot of video work these days. I actually specialize more in that with the B2B. I
Mm-hmm.
came from photos, kind of merged into videos, and I mainly do that. So when I was considering the idea of moving over from DSLR to a mirrorless camera, one of the most important things for me, and one of the shifts that made it happen so quick, was the fact that I had so many clients demanding video work. So for me, I
Mm-hmm.
needed a hybrid camera, something that can shoot 4K, decent video work, but at the same time also stills. And my DSLR, I think I I was killing myself using a DSLR trying to do video work. At that stage, it was the Canon 5D Mark III. Great camera. The color profiles on that, I miss it. I still miss it to this day. Like, the skin tones on the Canon is incredible. And
Mm-hmm.
just doing video work, though, it wasn't a video camera. So I don't think it had, only the Mark IV came out with autofocus for video. So I'd literally shoot all my video projects on manual, and
Yeah, that's
you try
crazy.
to do that. It was ridiculous. I was throwing away so much footage because it was just out of focus, and then you're trying to shoot on
Mm-hmm.
a 50mm, so it was killing me. So I had to make the move more than wanted to. Um, However, yeah, it's incredible the way things have changed now. The versatility of a mirrorless camera is incredible. Sending
Mm-hmm.
photos through Wi-Fi. I know DSLRs at one stage could also somewhat do that, but I mean now I'm literally on set. I have an art director or the CEO able to. He's holding my iPad Pro, and he's able to literally watch what we're shooting as it happens in real time. So yeah, the capabilities of these things are incredible. Like yeah,
Yeah.
it's a huge change.
I'm gonna send this clip to her.
Three
So,
minutes of me, 3 minutes of me talking crap about Canon, but it's like, and the skin tones, cut that, send that to her.
yeah, they're amazing. I also found, because I got a mirrorless camera, and I found like the color on my DSLR was a lot more true to life than
Yes.
my mirrorless. I feel like I do need to get used to that, but the images just are crispier. If I put two of them together, I'm just like, this is actually crazy. The difference is crazy.
It's almost like the brands expect us all to be colorists now as well. It kills
Yeah.
me. Like I see things on
Oh man,
Instagram
it's
and
my
I just
worst.
want them crispy, clean. Like I just want a clean image. Just give me a clean image. But then it's S-Log 3 and then it's this and it's like I shoot the film. I don't want to color grade it to such a point that it looks like a Netflix. I want
Exactly.
that, but I can't get it. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, obviously I'm not a professional photographer. I'm just a very small hobbyist photographer sometimes. But color's my worst thing. Like I don't want to change, I don't want to do anything to the color because I have no idea what I'm doing. Like I have no idea.
I get you. I get you.
So,
I do know what I'm doing,
yeah.
and I
I'm assuming you edit in Photoshop.
Lightroom for okay, well, it goes hand in hand. Lightroom,
Mm,
you batch process, or if you're culling and you're obviously narrowing down what you want to edit, and then Photoshop
yeah.
for the final bit. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Um, in terms of all of the projects that you've done, I know you enjoy commercial the most, but is there a project, like a standout project that you've enjoyed the most, like that that you immediately think about when I ask about your favorite project?
I do. I think it's more sentimental than it is cool or so on. It was also cool. It was. But
Mm-hmm.
we had literally just come out of the pandemic. It was my first job that I got again. I mean, keep in mind, as a creative like myself, I had no work for 8 months. Um, Shooting weddings mainly, and corporates were closed. Nobody was doing anything. So this
Mm-hmm.
this job comes in, and they didn't have a great budget. We were like, we'll do it. We can do it. We can make it work. And a job that probably required a team of like 10 people, we did it with like three. And it was an internal video for Audi South Africa for their training academy. And I mean, this massive thing had just happened where the whole world was locked down. They had to train their staff still. There was a new car launching. They wanted to showcase all the features and so on. So they had to create basically like a 3-part video series similar to Top Gear. And not only created, but there was this mad deadline, which every client has, obviously. Um, so yeah, we created this. We were running on like almost zero sleep. My friend and I were editing to a point because we couldn't afford to pay editors because the budget had just covered enough for 3 videographers on set, assistants, uh, camera gear rental, and so on. So he would go and sleep for 3 hours and I'd be editing, and then I would go and sleep for 3 hours. He would wake up and he would start editing. So it was like this manic thing. And to this date, we still can't believe we pulled it off and we created what we look at these days, and it's like it's average work, but the fact of what we did like 2.5 years ago with the minimal gear that we used, it was incredible, and we're
Mm-hmm.
so proud of it. We're so proud of the fact that we could create that off of such a few crew, gear, sleep, everything, and they were
Yeah.
happy with it, so we were happy with it. We were like, cool, done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, and in terms of, you've obviously done really well, and if you don't already feel like I've made it, like I'm good, this is it kind of thing, what would be the thing or project or job that would make you feel like that? Like
Hmm.
what is your dream job?
We're going deep. um Sure. I think there comes a point in a creator's career or profession that it doesn't, for me anyways, like I might break and kill a couple people's dreams saying this, but it doesn't really matter to me anymore in terms of my clients. I'm super proud of the big corporate clients that I do have. And if I can
Mhm.
have more, great. I think there comes a point in time when you need to be realistic with yourself and not chase the big dogs, because sometimes that's not only more of a headache, but it's just unrealistic. Of
Mhm.
course, for example, I tell a lot of people the story where I was sitting in the offices of Ferrari and I had this whole pitch that I wanted to do. I was like, guys, we can do this, we can do that. And the lady stopped me like through talking, and she said, look, I'm going to be honest with you. We've got no budget. We've got no budget for marketing or anything local. And I was a bit shocked. I was like, it's Ferrari, this and that. And they said, you got to understand that everything we receive is from international and they send it to us. We don't get to
Mhm.
produce anything locally, really, in terms of just for shits and giggles, for a lack of a better word. Um,
Yeah.
and that was a day that I realized that we're all chasing the Bugattis and the Lamborghini brands, where if you're looking to just have a great sustainable business, you want to be going for the VWs and the Toyotas. They're the one who
Mhm.
have mad money in terms of they're selling 600 times more cars. Ferrari
Yeah.
doesn't make money off of their cars; they make it off their merchandise, um,
Mhm.
thanks to Formula One and so on. And to me, that is something where I had a pivotal turn within my career and my profession. I I don't think I've made it. I still don't. I don't know when that time will come, because in all honesty, we still have our ups and our downs. January was a ridiculously
Mhm.
quiet month for me. Um, you sit back and you start questioning yourself, like, is this what I want to do with my life? Because why are there no companies booking me for work? And it happens every single year. It's how it works.
Yeah.
Corporates are working out their budgets. Marketing is discussing what do they want for the year. So you're sitting there in January
Mhm.
and you're thinking, I am useless. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. What am I actually doing? And yeah, so I guess I'll know when I made it when my January looks like my October or my November. I think that's a short answer.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mm,
Um and what would you do if you weren't doing the work you do now actually? What do you think would be a parallel Kyle life?
sure. Oh, I used to be a graphic designer, and I absolutely
Okay.
hated that. So there's no parallel universe to that because I would have quit there as well. Um, but I don't know. To be honest, I think I'd be a business owner. Like, I cannot think about
Mhm.
working for anybody else, whether I owned a car wash or a coffee shop or a business like a restaurant slash club. I don't know, but you need money for that. So what would I
Yeah.
do to get that money to build up to that? I have no idea. Work on oil rigs,
Upsell.
upsell,
My-
upsell everything.
yeah, like buy a car, sell it for a little bit more, buy another one, sell it for a little bit more.
I would do
I don't
the
know.
typical. I would do like the e-commerce style of upselling. I'd be like, "Oh, you like this car? Would you like wheels with it?" And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
just go from there. It's like, "Would you like a steering wheel with it?"
yeah.
That's an extra 5,000 rand.
Do you want to sit on a seat or not?
There you go,
Yeah,
upsell.
yeah. Interesting.
So
I'm getting
yeah,
ideas now. Thank you.
you're gonna start inviting people onto your podcast, and I'll be like, "Hey, would you like to use your camera? It's gonna be 300 rand."
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, I didn't tell you. Oh, I didn't tell you. If I use your audio, it's going to be an extra
Uh,
1,000.
I, I'd like go and download like a Shrek filter and be like, "This is how you look without the 300."
Yeah, like if you want to remove the filter,
Yeah.
you got to pay.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I was actually talking about this the other day, like there's a certain hairdressing training business where they teach the hairdressers to basically like say things like, oh, I have to blow dry your hair because if I don't blow dry it, I won't see how it's cut, or like, oh no, I have to put this product on your hair, I have to do a treatment, etc., and then charge for all of those things. And that's like a way that they are taught to make money.
I
It's
mean,
only one
let's be
company that I
honest.
know of,
Like,
so please don't at me for saying that.
I mean, let's be honest. We know women and their hair, so I mean, you could say anything. It's like, girl, you're gonna get a Valentine's Day boy if you do this, and they'll be like, 2,000 rand, swipe,
Yeah,
swipe,
like
swipe.
anything it needs, anything my hair needs. Yeah, 2,000 rand is mild, mild. Yeah, yeah.
Maybe I should have just
Um,
opened up like a hairdresser or a hair salon. Like, I don't even need to do
yeah.
anything in it. Just own it.
It's a huge business, man. It's a huge industry. Actually, a huge industry is weaves or like extensions. Okay, I'm gonna ask you some would you rather questions.
Oh, this is fun.
Okay.
Okay.
I asked Canton these questions as also a very talented content creator. Ask these
Peter Parker.
questions. Yeah. Yeah, Canton Parker. It sounds like the name you change your name to if you want to be an actor, right?
Yes. Actually true.
Yeah. Okay, Kyle, would you rather tell all of your deepest, darkest secrets? You don't have a boss, but to your boss or to your parents?
To my boss. I'd
Okay.
rather get fired than disowned.
Okay, that bad. Okay, cool. Would you rather people could hear your thoughts or have everything you do live streamed on Instagram?
You see, Instagram would kind of cut it after they see some of it. So I'll choose the latter.
Okay. Okay. Fair, fair. Would you rather discover your friends don't like you or your clients think that you're bad at your job?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It is.
I'm literally thinking about that. My friends don't like me. I just haven't discovered it yet. So I'd probably choose that one, to be honest.
Okay, okay. Would you rather, these are milder, would you rather be trapped in a small room with 10,000 tarantulas for 10 minutes or eat 10 live tarantulas in 10 minutes?
I love how you specified they're live when
Yeah,
when I
because,
eat them, because I was like, that's not too bad compared to 10,000.
yeah,
Eat, definitely eat.
really, you would eat
Yeah, I
10
don't know
live
why. Like
tarantulas.
I would. Like when you
Okay.
say 10,000 tarantulas in a room, I'm picturing it's also dark. You don't even see them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
I would rather go with the trapped in a small room
Would you?
because they,
And you feel them
yeah,
crawling
because
all over you?
because they can't do anything to you, right?
Okay,
Tarantulas,
you've
are they
handled them, right?
dangerous?
I mean,
Yeah.
they've got little pincers, I think. So, like, yeah, you've clearly handled them. I've stayed away from them. So, it's, yeah, like, I'm sure they wouldn't bite you. But,
Yeah.
yeah, actually, yeah,
It
no,
wouldn't
I don't
like
know.
look, it wouldn't be pleasant. It wouldn't be like fun, but
For 10
I wouldn't want to
minutes in the room,
ingest. Yeah, 10 minutes.
you
I
haven't
wouldn't want to
specified what I'm
ingest
wearing.
them.
Can I wear a hazmat
I
suit?
mean, no. There has to
Okay.
be contact. You have to be able to feel them like on your skin.
Yeah. Let me handle one
So like
first
a
because I've
wetsuit
never
at
wetsuits.
most.
Yeah, okay, then I'll be there. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
in the small
Yeah,
room.
they
Mm.
they're like all over the deserty areas in California. It's actually quite weird. They're all over the place.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, it's really weird because previously I'd only seen them in captivity because obviously you don't get I don't think you get them in South Africa.
Like
But they
hamsters.
just jawl around. Yeah, like little furry
Yeah. Where are
hamsters. So
hamsters
cute.
from?
So, you know, weirdly, I actually Googled this the other day because I was like, hamsters are only domestic. You know, they're like dogs. But they're not. You actually do find hamsters in the wild.
Where? Guatemala or what's that? There's like one place.
I
Did you
don't
research where?
did. I just don't remember where.
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't know how they survive in the wild, but yeah, you do
I
get
don't
them in
know.
the
They can't
wild.
even survive in cages. So like,
Literally, yeah.
yeah.
They die for everything. Shame. Okay, would you rather have teeth for hair or hair for teeth?
Teeth for hair or hair for teeth? Wow. Teeth for hair. I can't
Okay,
imagine
so
trying to
teeth
eat
on
and
your head.
your yeah, instead of like hair. Like no ways. No
You can
ways.
like drink through a straw. You can
Yeah.
drink your
It's
food.
like no. All I'm eating is ramen for the rest of my life.
Okay, would you rather have to walk backwards everywhere or sprint everywhere? This is so silly.
I'd sprint everywhere like Phoebe.
Okay, fair. I think that makes sense. That makes
Yeah, just
sense.
I'd actually just be on time most of the time then.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
But what if you're carrying your gear? What if you're carrying a tray of food? You have to sprint, not like jog. You have to
Yeah,
sprint.
yeah, sprint to the couch from the kitchen, and then half the food is left behind.
You can get like
Maybe
a
walk
wheelie
backwards.
bag.
Walk
Okay,
backwards
you've
might be a
changed.
better option. Yeah, you've confused me now a little bit because now I've got teeth as hair. I'm running like sprinting everywhere. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, I don't know
people are
about
running
that
from
one.
me.
I think I would rather walk backwards everywhere.
But at least if you do TikToks, you just
Yeah.
reverse it.
Yeah, yeah, you can still film from the back and then
Mm,
just reverse it. It
yeah,
would look weird though, but it doesn't matter. Be cool.
yeah, it wouldn't be too bad.
As if any of these things are ever going to be a possibility. Um,
Some are
which ones? The tarantula one?
tarantulas.
Do you think? Yeah, if someone offered me money to do that, what would be the minimum for you to be in a room with tarantulas? 10,000 tarantulas for 10 minutes.
$100,000
What?
cash
That's so
monies.
much. That's so much.
So much money.
Yeah.
Maybe $10,000, but not less for 10
Okay,
minutes.
$10,000. I'll see what I
But then it must
can
be like a
come up
Mr.
with.
Beast thing where it's like if every minute you're lasting longer, it's another $1,000 or $10,000.
Yeah, yeah. That'd be a vibe. I'll look out for something like that for you.
I'll secretly take a sleeping pill and
Yeah,
I'll
then
just
you
lay
don't have
there.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Endure
yeah.
any of
Like
that.
numbing cream as well.
Yes.
All sorts of prep.
Spray all that stuff that everyone does for tattoos and just sort it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Kyle, thank you so much for chatting with me. Really nice to talk to you and like get some insight from someone who's so professional and so good at what they do. So thank you so much.
Appreciate you inviting me onto this. I had fun and excited to see the rest of your podcast and what they're going to look like.